Welcome to Smart to Fish Wild, a podcast where a passion for the outdoors meets the strategy of building a meaningful, well-designed life. I'm Mark Candler, Colorado native, outdoorsman, passionate fly fisherman, proud father, and senior partner of Silver Oak Wealth Planning. Each week, I have the real pleasure of sitting down with some amazing people who are turning their passion into purpose and designing lives that leave room for what matters the most. Today, I'm joined by Jay, the founder and owner of 5280 Anglers. Today, we're going to talk about the entrepreneurship in the fly fishing industry. It's meaningful because it emphasizes ownership and control, creativity, and building a purpose-driven business aligned with his own personal passions. So sit back and enjoy the conversation, and I hope you find value. Pleasure to have you on our podcast, and really appreciative. I've heard a lot about your company, and honored to have you on this. What inspired you to get 5280 going?
Well, the big thing is I've loved fishing since I was a little kid. That's kind of all I wanted to do. I mean, since I can remember, I've always loved fishing, being on the water, being next to the water, ocean, lakes, rivers, it doesn't matter, ponds. I was a school teacher, started in 2001 here. I was teaching elementary school, and I was doing that for 11 years, and I was getting frustrated with, you get burned out of a job, but the bigger questions for me was, where's my control? I didn't have control over who was in my classroom, really didn't have control over the curriculum, timing, anything, marketing, it didn't matter. So I wanted something for myself where I had creative control over my income, whether I made less or more. It didn't have to do with amount of money. It had to do with just control. And I felt like I was, working for a school district, I did not feel like I had any bearing on where my life was going. So I started looking at avenues of, what I wanted to do and to get out of that. And I knew I wanted to start my own business. That was first. And so I started guiding just in the summer times. I had already been doing that for a few years. I was guiding, and I talked to some buddies, and they're like, hey, let's start our own thing. And I took the reins, and I just said, yeah, I'm willing to finance this thing myself. I just need some guys to help me do the work. And that's 2012 was our first season as 5280 Angler. I quit my job. I was still substitute teaching for the first 5 years of the business. I didn't make any money. I was struggling. It was tough. My wife was there for support. That was the greatest thing ever. But I kept at it because I knew if I just kept grinding, I could make it successful. And, now it's been 14 years and we're doing great. We have a manager, we have head guides, we have a lot of employees, and I'm pretty happy with the direction. But it just started with a drive to have my own thing, be my own boss, have creative control, do something that for myself. I can there's something about, I was failing for many years, but I felt like, I'm failing, and I'm failing on my own. I'll figure it out. The hard working, at a school district, you can be the worst and you can still keep your job. And that's kind of a sad state. And I saw that. That wasn't something I was proud of. I was busting my butt trying to make things better. Nobody cared if I did great or if I did lousy. So my clients with 5280 Angler, they care. When something goes wrong, we fix it. When something goes great, I hear about it, and it makes you feel great. And the guides feel that way too when they're successful in the water, when they're catching trout, when their clients are saying, hey, I learned a ton from you. We had a great day. I mean, that makes them feel good. That's a wonderful job. Not many people can, they go to their jobs and they're getting immediate feedback. On a river, you get immediate feedback when things are working, and when things aren't, you get immediate feedback, and it's great. You can change your tactics. So that's a little bit about how I started in this business. I feel like it's a hospitality business, and I have a little bit of background in that. So when I started, I really wanted to focus on the hospitality aspect, focus on communication, making sure our clients knew exactly what our expectations were and what our expectations of them were. So that was important to me. And then I brought a lot of teaching from working with kids. When I first started, I was the guide. So I took that to the river. I brought those kind of classroom skills to the river and how I taught people. And then I took that and I taught the new guys coming in. And then now I don't guide anymore, but I have a manager that he was an ex-elementary school teacher, and he trains the new guys. And he says, hey, here's how I want it done. People kind of think about fly fishing guides as, well, yeah, of course they're experts, but they're not experts at teaching or instruction. You can work on that. That was
That's
that
awesome.
was a mouthful. I hope that answered I don't even remember what the
No,
question was.
that's yeah, you articulated that incredibly well, and I couldn't agree more. Just because somebody is an expert does not mean they, have any clue on how to relate to another human being and help them learn and help them improve. It has nothing to
Yeah,
do
and
with
you're nothing, and you're
it's a
meeting
whole
people
different
for the
skill set.
first time. Yeah, you have to assess that person in 5 minutes, how good, where they're at with their fly fishing, then tailor your instruction to them to get them up to speed where you want them. So it's a hard job. I don't think people realize a good guide. I mean, that's a hard job. It's like being a great classroom teacher or
Right.
sometimes everything different.
Yeah.
Lots
Yeah.
of hats guides wear.
You're cracking me up. I was speaking to my 20-year-old son who's a junior at Texas Christian University down in Fort Worth, and he has his painful finance final today, and he's just complained all semester. He's like, this particular professor, of course, has tenure, and he's got 2 PhDs, and Will says that everybody in the classroom says he is absolutely the most worthless professor he's ever had.
Yeah, we live in a that's this merit. I don't know what you want to call it. It's a credentialism society where credentials kind of sometimes matter over experience or over actually good ideas. I saw that.
Right.
It's in academia. We had principals that had PhDs. Didn't matter. It didn't. They weren't good. Some of them were. Some of them were. So
Right.
no, I totally understand. Yeah, hopefully he does well on his final and gets through it, and that's done.
Yeah, I
Just get
hear
it
you.
over. Just get it over, and you're good.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a funny side note, I'm going down a rabbit trail here, but my business partner at Silver Oak Wealth Planning is the most genius, incredible partner of all time. If you look at our webpage, he's the left brain, I'm the right brain. I'm the human guy, he's the quantitative guy. Although his human skills are incredible, but he like
Sounds like a
passed
good
the
partner.
he passed the CFP exam like it was a, first grade spelling test, and that's brutal. I mean, but he just whizzed right through it. No problem whatsoever. But they won't let him put it on our webpage or on his business card because he doesn't have his BA from college.
Yeah. I mean, they're little things, and we're talking about them right now, little things. These are building up, and people are looking at this like saying, "Hey, this doesn't make sense." I'm talking about academia. We're getting off
Yeah.
topic here.
Yeah.
But
No, it's funny.
these are the kind of things I talk to my kids about in college, and I'm like, I want to make sure you're going to school and you have a plan, or at least somewhat of a plan, or let's do this. Let's get ourselves in debt right away. You can take core classes at this place for less money and then think about it. Yeah. Yeah. That kind of aggravated me when I heard that. What you just said. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's
Well,
ridiculous.
the good news is he's been, for the last 5 years, been taking online courses, and he just took his final course. So in a week, he'll be able to actually use his CFP designation. But I think
Good for him.
society's ridiculous. But
That's how we got raises in public school. You take classes. It wasn't based
wow.
on performance. It was based on years, but you take classes. The more credits you have, you could submit that to human resources and get pay bumps. When I found out about that, it was 5 years before I really kind of started doing it. I'm like, well, why are you guys taking all these classes? Yoga for meditation, all these kind of goofy stuff. Like, what? Well, we're getting pay bumps every year, Jay. Like, what are you talking about? So we had this is back onto. I just want to say that kind of stuff bothered me. I was going back to I didn't have control, and the silly things that I saw made me realize, hey, I got to start my own thing. And the
Yeah.
purest thing I could think of was fishing. I loved it. I wanted to do it. It's just such a great profession. I mean, we're doing wonderful things out there. We're taking care of the fish. We're showing people Colorado and the wonderful rivers we have. We're having fun, and I mean, it's the perfect job. It's the perfect job. I mean, and we're letting them go. We're letting our fish go, catch and release, showing people how to take care of the river, cleaning it up. Anyways, yeah, I'm psyched where I'm at right now. I'm really proud of the guides, and my managers that are helping me do this. And yeah, so we're in a good position, And when you're doing good things, money eventually comes to you. Enough, maybe not
That's
a
great.
ton, not in fishing, but enough to get by.
So how do you measure your volume? Is it like guided days?
I
Total
measure
guided
it
days?
in I measure it in people. Yep. That, how many people we took fishing. So you can do it in guided days, how many guide trips there are. That's another way of doing it. And, you average 2 people. When you go on a guide trip, you average two, the guide's taking out 2 people. Sometimes one, sometimes up to 3. That's all we're legally allowed to take. But most of you average 2. So you could do it both ways. And then every person, there's a certain revenue that brings in. And every year, I just want to see more guided days. And you can't crowd rivers. You can't just say, well, we want to put more people on this river because that river can't sustain it, or the permit. All these rivers are permitted and we're only allocated a certain amount of people. So you have to kind of say, well, we need to expand and move elsewhere to different rivers or private water. Private water is a great resource for guide services. It's a way to get more people on the water without crowding those public spaces. And nobody wants to have guides, crowding their public spaces. So we're very sensitive to that. But yeah, we want to grow in numbers of guide trips every year. So I think that's been happening until about 2 years ago. Now we're going down like this.
Fewer trips?
Fewer trips, not by a lot, but fewer.
Huh.
Couple things, price went up. I want to give the guides raises every year. Well, there's only a few ways to do that. You can do more trips or make more money off each trip. So the salary's been going up. That's been great. I've been proud of that. But we've hit the ceiling where the price is, people are sensitive to price. You can't just keep charging more. So
Right.
that caused trips to go down. But also there was this, it's the economy of thought. People were nervous, I think, with their money. Businesses were holding back, not sure what 2025 was going to be. So those pre-bookings weren't there. I think that was a little bit of it. I think 2026 is going to be a different story. We kept prices. We didn't raise them, didn't touch them, kept everything the same. And there's just been more optimism already. I can tell just from our gift certificate sales. Last year at this same time, we only sold like one. Now we're at, I don't know, 20. It's a big difference. Like from November to yesterday, one gift certificate was sold online. Now we have, I think, like 15. It's a different sense. Like people are out spending money. They're ready to give gifts. So anyway, that's a little indication. I think we're gonna have a great 2026. And like I said, we're moving into boats, power boats, floats. So we're excited. The guides are excited. My managers are excited. I'm excited.
Very cool.
And it's just, like I said, it's that creative aspect. We can decide what's on the website. We can decide what's on the brochures. We can decide how we're going to present ourselves at the fly fishing show. Those are all artistic things too, that people in business, you probably think about your logo, how your website looks and the colors. I mean, that's all fun stuff. If you don't own your own business, you have no say in any of that. There might be a team that does, but it's
Yeah.
fun being the guy in charge and saying, yeah, you know what? I want to go to the fly fishing show and just have a basketball hoop and have some people shoot some hoops, whatever. It's that kind of stuff is great with owning your own business and having fun guides that are part of that creative process. Like I didn't do this by myself. The guides helped me. The managers helped me. It's been fun, stressful at times, but fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Have you been on our wealth management firm's website by any chance?
I was on your clubs page. You started a club, I believe. I forgot the
Spoonfly.
name of it. Yeah. I
Spoonfly.
was looking at some of the trips you were doing. I saw one for Louisiana. I just came back from Louisiana. Sorry, no, you were in Texas, but you're fishing for redfish, right? Or you had
Yeah.
a redfish trip. So I just came back from, I forget where it was, the marsh, somewhere in Louisiana. I did a 3-day and that was so much fun. Had great weather. And I was like, oh, that looked like like the place you guys stayed at, like really nice. Anyways, yeah, I was looking at some of your trips. I was looking at your website. They had a nice video on the front. I don't know who did that. That's a cool little, just who we are. Well produced.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big part of where my focus is, and it has been, which this is interesting about the corporate. Fly fishing guides are pretty territorial. I mean, they want to take their client, they want to go out into the river, and they want to have be away from everybody, really focus on their two people. The corporate group, guides will do it, but they don't like doing it. Most guides did not like doing it. When we first started, it was hard to get the guides to work as a team and say, hey, you don't have your own clients say you have this group as your client and you all are going to work together and it's going to look totally different. And so we really started doing that before anybody else was really focusing on me. That's everything. I was like, I can work really hard to book 5 trips for a Friday, or I can work easier to book 20 people all at once or 30. And so that was my goal, and they're fun. Anywho, that's kind of what we started with, that focus, and I feel like that's our niche. It's not something that they'll do them. Other outfitters will do corporate groups, but we talk about them in our trainings and with the guides, and we have our systems, and they really run smoothly.
Yeah, I saw that on you guys you're at North Fork Ranch, you're at Bartle Lakes, you're at
Yep.
Boxwood.
Yeah. Long Meadow, Rowdy Trout. Those are just on the North Fork. Then we're at Able, and Troublesome Creek is really Troublesome Creek is really cool for private. Puma Ranch, those are all private. Then we have those public water permits that are those regulated ones by the state. Depends on, yeah.
That's
So Colorado River, Arkansas.
correct me if I'm wrong. Those are the big profit trips, the big revenue trips for you, right?
The private ones, or
No, the group trips, the corporate trips.
well, they're big. They're big in that we can get a lot of people in a one spot. Yes, and you can get all your guides working. So I can have 10 guides working on one property without worrying about crowding the public. Whereas, let's say you're on the upper Colorado River in the Hot Sulphur Springs area and it's a weekend, you could have 3 people total. That's it. That's the rules. So even if somebody wanted to have a group of 6 up there, can't do it. Or down in Deckers, I can only have 6 people. I can't do a corporate group down there. Not that we'd want to anyways, but on these private waters, I can get all the guides working. They can make money. The company can make money. The landowner can make money. The public is not being crowded and the group's having a blast because they're fishing all together. And what's fun about corporate groups is the company bought them a trip. So some of them don't care. Some of them are there to catch all the fish, but they're having a good time. They understand that it's a team event and they're having a blast. You know what I mean? Whereas, if you have your 2 people in Cheeseman Canyon for the day and you're with Pat and a couple of the, people start crowding up against you, that's not okay. But if they were your teammates, and you could do corporate groups and you could go down the Cheeseman Canyon and a couple of people start crowding up, you can have a good old time, cast over each other. I mean, it's a totally different game. It's fun.
Yeah.
Corporate groups are fun.
I get it.
It's totally different. Training the guides to think like that, like, hey, you can even switch clients. You could jump off of your 2, go with these other 2, switch guides, make sure that everybody's getting into fish, move around. Like if we know one spot's working well, why shouldn't other people fish that? Why should one guy hog it all when he knows, so usually when people book these trips, they're asking, hey, I want to get everybody into fish and I want everybody to have a good time. And that's what our goal is too on these big groups. And they're totally different than a 2-off trip to the Eagle River. They're totally different. So our guides have to have 2 different mindsets. And we talk about this when we're training. I mean, we do training. We have meetings. We have handbooks. We talk about it. I mean, it seems odd to talk about how you're going to fish somebody, but there's totally different ways of thinking.
I get it. That's really cool.
It's not the same.
We have about 5 more minutes. Is there any particular question you would like me to ask you?
I guess when I talked to I forget his name. Anyways, when we were first talking about doing this podcast, as a business owner, I'm always thinking about how to grow, how to get more guides on the water in this short span of March to October. That's our window. How do we get more trips? And that's kind of befuddled me. Growing has been a struggle. So, I guess, hey, Jay, how do you plan on growing your business? I guess would be a good question. So I guess I'll answer that. I'll pretend you asked it. So my plan for this year is, and I'm going to really focus on the internet, Google Ads. I really do think that drives business. When we put in more money into Google Ads, we do notice more phone calls. I've been kind of cheap with how much money I put per month, and I'm going to increase that. I think that's important. I'm also going to really focus on reaching out right now. We're doing it right now. We're reaching out to past corporate groups and saying, hey, let's go fishing again. We have lists we're keeping. So we're being better about keeping lists of all these contacts and reaching out and trying to get them booked early so that we can get them on early. And then we know that those open days are for new corporate groups. We're better at using that email marketing, constant contact we use. We are taking contacts. We are keeping their names. We didn't used to do that. It used to almost feel like we were both Ben and I, Ben's the general manager, we almost felt guilty, like we shouldn't put their name, we shouldn't keep their name. If they want to sign up for our constant contact, we'll let them do that on their own. Well, guess what? You got to do it. You got to, reach out to everybody. If they want to unsubscribe, fine. If they don't want to talk to you, they can delete your email and say, don't call me back. But you got to be a little bit more aggressive, I guess, and not aggressive, like, hey, we did a great job before. Your group had a great time. We want to do that again. And we shouldn't be ashamed to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thanks for spending time with us today on Smart to Fish Wild. I hope today's conversation resonated and gave you something to think about. Please consider sharing this episode with other people who you think might find value. Until next time, get smart so you can fish wild.